This is AFTV VIP, the official web app with members-only content, has no ads and a live in-game match center. The bias predictor, it has daily polls and the AFTV 11 selector. Just one click away. Hi and welcome along to AFTV News Daily, the evening edition, sponsored today by Mask FC. They're the guys that make these football-inspired masks. Rocking my one today. This is like the Arsenal old school away colours. I've got the red and white. They also do them for other teams as well, whether it be Chelsea, United, or they do those as well, right? But the link is in the description if you want to get yourself a mask and represent and keep people safe at the same time. We are here tonight, as we have been every night at 7 o'clock, and we've got a very special guest with us. Lee Judges is in the building. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. A little bit better than I was Sunday. I'm gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? People have been asking me all week. They're going, Robbie, why don't you get Lee Judges on? Where's Lee Judges? What? I thought, no, I've got to give him at least a week to calm down.
Give me a few days off. I've had stick from. Oh, you can imagine what the old Spurs fans have been lapping it up, and I've been here a butt of their jokes this week. So I'm gonna
honestly,
next watch along. I'm bringing some tape with me, like So
you have got proper. Yeah, you know what, right? You don't. The thing is when you're doing these watch-alongs, you don't notice it at the time.
No,
obviously, you're just watching the game, and you're just so invested in hoping the team's going to go, going to do well and everything. You don't even realize how angry you're getting, right? And you just got so angry that it was funny. It was funny.
Do you know what? When people send you the videos or whatever, I don't realise it. I said, did I do that? And of course I did. And then you get the family turn around and go, yeah, we've experienced that. We know what you're like. And you think, I've got to calm it down. And I think well, next time I ain't going to do it. I'm going to be, I'll be quiet. But you totally forget the camera's there. You're just engrossed in the game. And I didn't even, you just forget about it. And and then when you see it, oh no, but there you go. It's done. You know what I mean? It's passion.
You over it yet? You over it?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit like, I think once the dust settles a little bit, you realise perhaps it isn't as bad as what you think it is. But my God, it was a poor performance, I have to say. And when you look back at it, we're 6 points off the top, 2 points off the top four. So it's still doable, as you say. But I don't know about you, Robbie, but I don't sleep that night. I'm waking up in the night, you know what I mean? Honestly, walking home, if I see Mikel Arteta down Seven Sisters Road that day, I would have gone for him, you know what I mean? Unbelievably would have gone for him. He was, he wasn't my mate, but after a few days, you calm down, didn't you? And
yeah, it was weird, that result, because I was trying to work out the day after and the day after that, right? How comes I was so angry? How comes I was so crestfallen by that particular? Because come on, we've lost other games this season, but I think what it is, right, is that we had the absolute high of the week before.
100%.
We've done so well. And then just to see that game, that reminded us of all the worst of Arsenal. And I think that's what just got everyone so angry.
100%. I went into the game against Man United with no expectations. I thought we was going to lose that game. So you're sort of dampening down your disappointment. And then you get that performance and you think, right, this is great. But I look back on it, there's probably a little bit of an indication in the Thursday game, 1-0 down against Mulder, and you think, got it right, the equaliser right at the end. And so yeah, you think I'm coming into a studio that day and I'm thinking to myself, if we win today, we're 2 points off top, and you start to get yourself up there. And I think it's more angry with yourself, thinking, don't let them get you like this. I'm not going to go like this no more, So against Leeds, I'm going to dampen the expectations, and we'll see how it goes from there.
You dampened the expectations that night?
Oh, no, I did. I said,
no, that was the previous week.
I did against you. I did say that Villa could beat us. I did say I felt that Villa have got. I said this all the time. Villa have got a fantastic midfield, and I know I went on about Grealish the other week. I've always rated, and sometimes I've said, "Oh, we should get Grealish," and people have gone, "He ain't good enough for Arsenal." I think he answered all those. Everybody that he is certainly good enough for Arsenal. So I'd love to see him at Arsenal, but
he's a great player. He's a great player, and no football, of course, this week. I don't know about you, but I would have loved there to have been an Arsenal game this weekend, just for them to. I mean, there's been people who've been saying that the international break came at the right time for Arsenal because they're able to kind of reset and that. I kind of look on it different. I kind of look at it and think those players would have loved to have got out of there this week and put right what happened last week, So I look on it differently. I think it would have been, I would have preferred there to have been a game. But I don't know. And the games today, but I was saying to you earlier that I'm missing football so bad. I was watching like some highlights of some old games today. And just to hear the fans celebrating goals and that, it was just unbelievable. And then some of the football as well, the international game. I turned my TV on today. It was San Marino versus Gibraltar. And it was a 0-0 draw as well. Oh man, bring back the Premier League.
You're desperate for football if you're watching that, I must admit, I'm just saying that on Twitter today, they're showing the Martinelli goal against Chelsea and the atmosphere when that goal went in. I think, I'm missing it now, and of course we'd have been going up to Leeds this week as well. They're the games, the big games, those sort of games you miss it. Man United away, we are, it's been a long time since we've gone up there and won. And if we'd have won that, would you imagine what it would have been like on the way home and all that? They're the sort of times you miss it.
Do you remember when we beat Man United? The last time we beat them there, it was in the FA Cup. Welbeck scored. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember the atmosphere that night?
It was unbelievable. Like 9,000 fans there that day. So
Monday night as well.
Yeah. So it was. They're the games you miss. Without a shadow of doubt. I don't certainly miss Sunday's game though. That's sort of washed in the
memory. The question we're asking tonight: have Arsenal become boring? Arsenal's a football club, right? Over the years, we've been known, especially under Arsene Wenger, we're known for attractive football. You think of some of the great goals we've scored, some of the great players: Henry, Bergkamp, Ozil, Alexis Sanchez, Robert Pires, Kanu, just skillful players, great goals, Jack Wilshere, Cesc Fabregas. A lot of people are looking at Arsenal now and saying, we've become a boring team. They're not seeing that flair anymore. We're not scoring, I think we scored, 9 goals this season. That's it. We've got seemingly exciting players in Pepe and Aubameyang, Lacazette, and all these, seemingly flair-type players. But our style of football has become very boring. I wanted to get your view on it. I mean, there's lots of people commenting on it, saying, do you guys, this guy says, do you guys think Arteta can make us play attractive football if we sign Aouar? There's many other people saying that, the football's become boring and stuff like that. What's your thought on it, Lee? Have we, as the style of football under Mikel Arteta, become boring? And if it has become boring, do you care?
Oh, yeah, I think I would care if it was boring football. I've got to say, I don't want to go back to the 80s again. That's where we are at the moment. Unfortunately, I got no hair now, but in the 80s I had hair.
We're winning in the 80s though.
It was
90s, yeah.
In the night, I remember when we go back to the 80s, we had John Hawley and Lee Chapman as our major signings up front and all. Do you remember those days? Yes. And Ray Henkin up front, and people moan about our front three now, So we've had it tough at times. I honestly think that at the moment, it's not great at the moment. And I think this is down because Mikel Arteta doesn't trust his defence. He doesn't trust the defenders that we've got. So he's trying to be too cautious, trying to cover up the defensive side of it all. And if I'll be honest, Robbie, it's not working. It's not working. I've got my theories why we've this season it's dropped a little bit. I don't think the Mesut Ozil situation with when he named a 25-man team, since then the performances have dropped. I also don't think the situation with the goalkeepers, when you've got a goalkeeper playing really, really, really well, and then he gets bombed out, I think that can affect squads and the way people perceive things. And I think Mikel Arteta, if I'll be honest, is struggling to cope with all this sort of stuff at the moment. On top of that, he's got players slightly out of form. And I think he's finding it very, very difficult. And I think that for the first time this season, probably like he's now realising that it's a big, big job. Also, you have to ask yourself, Robbie, and forget about the style of football for the second. You know, this is an inexperienced manager that's had to pick 25 and cut players from not playing. That's something that he shouldn't be doing. You know, those players should have been gone so that he can have his selections in there. And I feel that that's hampered him. It's made it a lot difficult for him. And then I don't think he's got the defenders that he wants in there, and certainly he hasn't got the midfield players that he wants. He's got Partey that's come in. I think he's going to be very, very good, but he's got to find somebody to partner him. And that's why I know you just said about the international break. I think it's done us good because I think that he can rip up what's gone on, start again, clean slate, get the midfield players in that he wants and change the system. I'll be very, very disappointed come the next few games if we're carrying on with the same sort of system. I can accept it a little bit when we go away to Spurs, but against Wolves and Leeds, I want to see us with a different shape, different system, and a little bit more going for games. I think at this moment in time, I think that Mikel is more worried about losing games than winning games, and I think that's the problem he's got. I think the balance is not quite right.
Vince Backer says, super boring. I miss our identity. I miss Wenger ball, not Wenger. But, you know, you hear what he's saying there. Misses the identity. Wow. Ryan says, I'm a Leicester fan. We are top and we have 4 of our best players out. Isn't the reality that your players ain't good enough? That's what he's saying. And a message here from Ted Jussie says, happy Diwali, guys. Happy Diwali to everybody celebrating that. I hear what you're saying when you're saying that, you know, obviously he's trying to sort out the defense first. Obviously, we've been known for leaking lots of goals and particularly getting done on the counter attack. And he's been trying to, because I remember under Emery, the amount of times like our midfield players, I mean, the only game I really seen that was the game against Villa. But against a lot of other games, when under Unai Emery, teams would just go through our midfield like a hot knife through butter. He has really shored that up. You're not really seeing us concede goals. Up until the Villa game, we had the best defensive record in the league. But he's not unleashing the players that can, you know, do damage at the other end of the pitch. So under his system, you've got a player like Aubameyang having to work his socks off, getting back to help out fullbacks. You know, you've got the same on the other side, Willian having to work his socks off to get back to help out fullbacks. And a lot of times we win the ball, there's just one player up front. We try to build it out from the back. It takes ages to get up to the front. And by that time, the other team's got everybody back and we don't have a chance to attack. How does he change it to make us more attacking?
Yeah, exactly. I think he's got to get the extra man in midfield, and he's also got to say to the forwards, you know, trust in his defenders and get the forwards higher up the pitch. So many times on Sunday that the ball was being cleared from the back, and they was just picking it up, Villa, and ready to attack us. And you have to see, well, they're attacking us, and we're at home. You know, so I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think it's just something that's just got to be tinkered with a little bit. Like, I think if you look at the bigger picture, people will hit you with stats saying that he's very, very low in the win rate against Emery, against Wenger, and whatever. Like, you know, and I you know, you can't argue those sort of stats. But what I can say is that since he's come here, we've beaten Manchester City, we've beaten Chelsea, we've beaten Liverpool, we've beaten Manchester United away. So we're competing against the real top teams now and giving them a little bit of trouble, like, you know. So that side of it he's done really well. But what it is now is getting the results against the likes of, like, I think our 4 games at home, Robbie, have been poor. They've been dire to watch. They've not been good. You know, we was fortunate against West Ham. I thought it was a poor performance. I know, like DT was saying the other day, he felt it was a good performance. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to take the out of his eyes, because at the end of the day, it was poor.
That's what I said too.
Poor. You know what I mean? Like, we was, you know, it was a little bit of magic from Danny Ceballos, if I remember rightly, and Eddie scored the goal. Sheffield United was poor. You know, Leicester, you know, people can say about, oh, well, things went, we could have got a goal and whatever. They set up a system to defend and hit us on the break. We've got to be good enough to break that down. And I'm afraid that Aston Villa done the ultimate number on us. So 4 performances at home haven't been good enough. But away from home, I haven't seen a problem. We've done well against Fulham. We've beaten Man United, and we've competed against Liverpool and Manchester City. So the away form has been okay. He's got to address the home form. And realistically, that's where you expect to pick up your points. You know, someone said the other day, well, if we'd have beaten Leicester and Aston Villa, we'd be top of the league, which we would be. But when you look at it, you have a look at the home games. We should be winning our home games, and if we win those home games, that's where we'd be, because the defending away from home is okay. I'm not really worried about if we entertain that much away from home. It's not our job, but it is at home, Robbie. When you're at home, you've got to break down these teams. We haven't got anybody in the team that can do it. And when you look at it, and this is where I'm not going to have a go at Mikel Arteta too much at the moment, has he been given the right tools for it? I don't think he has. I don't think that he has been, you know, given the right tools. He's been given a great central defender. That's fantastic. He's been given a midfield player. So all of a sudden, the spine looks pretty good, but we've got to have someone that's going to get in between the lines and do that. Now, if he's going to do that with the players he's got to look at Ceballos and Saka to do that. He's got to look to them to do that. If not, you know, he's got to give someone like Willock a go. We've be brave. Well, Mesut Ozil, yeah, would have been one, but like this, you know, let's be honest about Mesut Ozil. This is the problem we've got at the moment. And I don't think it's helping Arteta. Whenever we have a bad game, Robbie, people are going to be mentioning it. He should have been taken out of the equation. If he wasn't going to be in the 25-man squad, buy his contract up and get him away so we wouldn't be having this. And I think he's putting untold pressure under a manager, and an experienced manager at that doesn't know how. I don't think many people would be out of hand. I think, you know, if you look back on it, Emery struggled with it, struggled to do the situation with Ozil, and would you say he's experienced? Yeah, because he's been experienced. Look what he's doing in Spain now. So, you know, he's obviously a good coach, but he couldn't handle the situation. Now we're asking a novice of a manager to come in and deal with this as well. The board or who's ever in charge of the football club should have put that away from Mikel Arteta and tell him to concentrate on things. He's got to deal with that all the time. He's had to come out, Robbie, and turn around and say it's for footballing reasons. Me and you know that it's not, and so does everybody else. So that ain't helping him.
Honcho says for years, Gooners have cried about the defensive frailties. People forget Mikel is rehabilitating an entire team's mentality. He has managed to get some defensive stability. Trust him to find the balance. It is going to take
brilliant
time. Iwan Candy says the funny thing is, with Van Dijk and Gomez missing from Liverpool, their defense is still better than ours. Maybe Liverpool could take Mustafi in the summer. Big up yourself. Well, you know, on the Liverpool thing, we're going to find out how good Liverpool defense is. You know what I mean? Because that is going to be a big test for them. But you know, there's a lot of people saying that they feel it's. I mean, look at this guy, the Spanish Tony Pulis. I mean, that's a bit harsh.
We're getting a lot of it, aren't we? We're getting a lot of it.
Yeah, it is. It is tough when you're a new manager and you see that there's a serious problem defensively. As I said last season, it weren't just the defense; it's the midfield as well. It was so easy So easy to score against Arsenal. And that's not been the case. But, you know, we want to see entertaining football as well.
Yeah,
It's been dire stuff we've seen in some of the games.
100% agree. But like, you know, you've got to walk before you can run, and I think that is a situation at the moment. I think with Mikel Arteta, I think at the moment what he's doing is building up the defence. He's going to get that sorted, and then we can move on to the next base and the next phase. And I think that's what he's got to do. But the thing is, what's happening at the moment is he's shoring it up, and then which is okay. No one was questioning it when we lost to Leicester. No one was really questioning it when we beat Man United. But when you get stuffed 3-0, the questions are going to be asked, Robbie. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden you're putting up defensive blocks and you're getting stuffed. You know, it was 15, 20 minutes to go. If we weren't doing the watch along there, we could have turned the telly off and gone home, because it was. I honestly thought it was going to be more than 3. I think, you know, so you have to give him a little bit of time, but. I think that, you know, I think someone said a great point a couple of days to me ago. You know, it wasn't working when Conte was doing it at Chelsea. They was having a little bit of struggle, so he went and changed it, and look what happened to it. And I think we're in that position now where Mikel Arteta is the system that he's doing is not working. So he's just got to tinker with it a little bit. Not say rip it all completely up. Keep the get your central defenders in that you're going to trust, and then go with it. Because obviously at this moment in time, if we play at home, we play it with the full-backs bombing on, midfield players bombing on, you're only really going to have 2 at the back, 2 centre-halves. And I don't think he can trust the 2 that he's got. One he can, and one he can't, you know. And that's that. Robbie, that was happening under Arsene Wenger's reign as well. We'd go forward. I remember a game against Olympiacos, got it back, and then all of a sudden they went back and scored again. That balance has never been quite right. I probably Arsene was too much. I think Emery was probably on the Mikel Arteta road as well. And I think that we need to get there. I think with Emery, and I'll give him the way I feel Mikel's got a little bit more slack is that he had midfield players in that could make things happen, like, you know, an Aaron Ramsey or someone like that. We've not got that no more. And Mikel hasn't got anybody that's going to get you 5-10 goals from midfield. That's another thing that we haven't got. And at this moment in time, you have to say to himself, because of the system that he's playing, it's hampering the likes of Aubameyang. Aubameyang's not playing well whatsoever, because I think he's worried about defending too much. Same with Lacazette. You know, this is Lacazette, who's getting a lot of criticism at the moment, was pivotal to us winning the semi-final and the final in the cup against top class teams. 3 goals in 3 games before he was taken out of the. I think if I remember rightly, he'd scored 3-3 in the games and was left out of the Liverpool game. Come on as a sub and missed a couple of chances. And from then it's gone all downhill. So there has been mistakes by Mikel as well. The Willian one, I can't understand. I can't understand it. For me, you know, you had Pepe, £72 million, was done really well in the cup final and semi-final. It was then Willian come in. It's hampered Pepe, and it's also hampered Nelson. That's great if you're producing performances week in, week out. But for the games that he's played, you know, he's been poor. So, you know, if you're going to trust these guys, right, say, well, give them the opportunity, say to them, right, I'm going to, your defensive duties now, I've gone. It's all about attacking it. And if you don't do it, bye-bye. As simple as that. And that's how it is. At the moment, I feel a bit sorry for all of them up there. You know what I mean? People are giving Aubameyang a lot of slack and all that. But also the others are all working just as hard as him in a defensive zone. So I do feel that it is not fair on them. You know, they're working hard. As I say, to someone like Lacazette, for instance, you know, he's being told to drop back in and work the extra man in midfield. So now he's 70 yards from goal. He's then got to sprint 70 yards to get up to the goal. And when he gets there, he's knackered, Robbie. You know what I mean? Like, he's not fresh. You know, you look at Vardy, who does. I watched him the other night. He doesn't get involved in none of the defensive stuff, but when it matters, he's ready and sharp. So, you know, have a little. If I was Mikel Arteta, I'd have a little look at the way Brendan Rodgers sets up and plays, because, you know, he's very, very defensive and cautious. But when they hit you on the break, their forward players are very, very fresh.
as well. Like somebody there spoke about Spurs and said about them. They've also been their last couple of games, right? I mean, they had that really exciting win when they beat Man United and that. Their last couple of games, I think the game I saw against Burnley, their last game where the West Brom, they scraped to win there. They were very negative in those games. They were very boring, but the difference is they put big chances away. And if you win the game, nobody really focuses on how boring you've been, do they? But when you've not been getting the results, then it does become an issue. And, you know, we have slipped up. We've not been getting those results because it wasn't an issue against Manchester United. You know?
No, of course. And listen, Spurs have been very, very poor in their last two games. I haven't watched them, but like I watched them. They've been poor, but they've got the results. You know, but if they get a couple of bad results, things are turned from them. I do feel with Spurs, and I had one of my mates come in the shop. The first couple of games they'd lost, and we're going to get relegated this season. We're in a real poor situation. But what happened was they went and bought a couple of players. They went and bought, and it turned the fan base. It got the fan base on board. I don't think Arsenal as a board have done that with our fans. I've never really been like excited saying that we've got a great chance of winning this title or anything that by the signings. And you look, everybody goes on about Spurs are being deluded and whatever, but their fans think that they can win the league. Why do they think they're going to win the league? Because of what they've done in the transfer market. Nothing else. Nothing about what they've done in the past and whatever. It's just all about what they're doing now. And hopefully they fail, and I'll be loving it. But at this moment in time, they've got a belief because of what the transfer policy has done, and we haven't got that at the moment. And when you win games, this is when this is another great thing. When we've been winning games. You know, sometimes if you slag off, criticise the team. What are you criticising the team for? They've won games, but you can learn just as much from winning games as losing games. And we haven't won games, not one game at home this season, convincingly. If you even go back to the Dundalk game, we was struggling for 25 minutes until their goalkeeper threw one in. You know, so we've got to say, look, things have not been right at home. They need to be addressed, and hopefully we will do. How
is he going to address that? Because the thing is, we spoke about this a lot last night, but there's no Ozil, right? And we know that Ozil can be a creative player, but that's done, dusted. He's not in the squad. He can't be in the squad even if they did bring him back, it wouldn't even be until at least January. So forget that out of the equation. Yeah. What other players can they use to solve the creative problem, or is there a change of system needed? What about a 4-4-2? Because I remember there being a great partnership between Lacazette and Aubameyang. Them two having a great partnership. That doesn't seem to be the case no more. I mean, there's players like I remember Willian in quite a telling interview he did with a publication where he said, "Well, I'm still trying to get used to all these instructions."
Yeah, too much
instructions and stuff like that. Are there too many instructions? Is he not saying, get on the pitch and play? You've got to have instructions, but get on the pitch and play. Because there just does not seem to be enough attacking intent from Arsenal. The only sort of attacking play I see us with is like when we build up from the back. That we scored a couple of good goals like that, where we rolled it out from the back and we built it up and we scored goals. There's been some great moves like that. But apart from that, where does the creativity come from? The only other place I see it coming from is like David Luiz spraying a ball from side to side at the back and maybe getting a player in behind. But certainly I don't see nothing in that midfield. And there's decent midfielders there. There's decent midfielders there that can, I just don't understand how we're not creating enough.
Yeah, it's a great point. One of the things that, as you say, we're building out from the back is when teams pressure. But what's happened now is that teams that press have said, right, hold on a minute, let's not press them. Let them come on to us. So when they were pressing us, we was putting the ball past them and opening them up. Teams have had a look at that and thought, I tell you what, we won't we aren't letting press them. If David Luiz has got the ball, let them have it, and then see if they can get in behind us that way. So what was happening was that they were drawing them on, and then we was getting in around the back. So they're not allowing that to happen again. So you have to then think, right, okay, they've sussed that out, so we need another little system. I do think you either got to go. I don't think 4-4-2 is going to work now because you need that extra one in midfield. So you could go 3-5-2. You know, so you've got the 3 defenders, 2 wing backs, and 3 in midfield to give you the 2 up front, or you go 4-3-3, which is what most teams are going with now, and that gives you that extra man in midfield. When you played it on Sunday, they had the extra man in midfield. Now, if you've got players like Barkley, Grealish, and McGinn, they're going to against 2 players. Don't matter who those 2 players are, they're going to be good enough to work it around and make sure that they've got the extra man in there, and they're good enough to do that. So you've got to. So what he's doing is keeping everything, lots of players at the back, and then what he's doing is losing the midfield battle. And as you well as I know, like, you know, through when I've ever watched football, if you lose the midfield battle, you lose the game. You know, also at the moment in time, you know, inverted right back and left back. What the hell's that? I've never known that in all my life. What's an inverted right back?
That's a big part of what Mikel Arteta is doing, isn't it? This inverted play.
Yeah, inverted. Well, doesn't work, Robbie. You know,
the whole point of these inverted fullbacks is to get more protection to the back 4. But what it means then is that, again, you haven't got enough players further up the pitch. So when you win the ball,
exactly,
unless you find Aubameyang or Pepe with a pinpoint pass, you're not gonna start an attack. I mean, what's? I know he's come under a lot of criticism, right? And has led to me getting a lot of criticism as well. That guy, trust me, he owes me a drink, right? Willian, right? Right. That's the I've got over him, right? From Chelsea fans. But for me, Willian, he's been poor, right? But why not try and play him in the number 10 position? And then still put, this is what I'd like to see. This is a possibility. You could play him in that number 10 position because he's a guy that can pick the ball up and run at people. You can play Pepe out wide. He has to play now for me, Pepe. Yeah. And you play, you know, put Aubameyang down the middle and Saka on the other side. Or you could play Saka, I think, as a number 10 as well. That's another player I think who could play there. Or why not try Ceballos there?
Exactly, and I think this is what he's going to have to try and do. At the end of the day, if he plays those 4, I would like to see that either Willian or Ceballos in there, right, as the number 10, if you like. Then you've got the 3: Saka, Aubameyang, and Pepe, right? And then you just say to them 4 there, right, you go and do your stuff up there. The rest of us will have the bank of 4 and the other 2. So we've got 6 players to defend while you 4 go and do the business. And you know, let those players just have freedom. Get the shackles off of these players. So it doesn't mean that Willian's got to be chasing back 20, 30, 40 yards to cover Bellerin or whoever, or Bellerin then covering there. And what's happening at the moment, you've got these exciting players like Pepe, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Saka, and Willian, right? They're not creating nothing. The 2 players that were creating on Sunday was Tierney, who put in the great cross for Lacazette, and Bellerin. They're not the 2 guys that you want getting all your creativity. You don't want that, you know.
Even if you do have those guys creating, right? Because look at Liverpool, they create a lot of play through their fullbacks, yeah. Yeah. Even Tierney's not playing as a fullback; he's playing as a centre half.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing as a centre free. Yeah.
I'm like, why is Tierney playing? I understood it when we had the injuries, but the other day, you know, David Luiz was fit. Why are we playing Tierney as a third centre back? I just thought that was overcautious. Mikel Arteta, I think, is being too overcautious at the moment.
Yeah,
that handbrake has to come off now. It's going to be really interesting to see what he does in that game against Leeds, because we know what Leeds are going to do. Leeds are coming. Leeds are going to attack. Leeds are not going to sit back. Leeds will attack, right? So will he look on it and say, right, well, we need to be defensive again? Probably will, won't he?
Yeah, 100%. And you have to, that's a great point you make about David Luiz. David Luiz has been outstanding in a back three. You play a back three on Sunday and don't play him. And then when he plays in a back four. Little things like that, and I think that, a little couple of questions, I think a few mistakes. And can someone, you tell me why Cedric's played? You know what I mean? We spent 4 million on him. That 4 million could have gone towards Awar, and we could have Awar in the team now, because, and if not, Robbie, why is Maitland-Niles still at the club? He's been not used. He's played more for England than he has for Arsenal. His third choice at right back, because obviously he prefers Bellerin and Cedric, which I can't believe. You know what I mean? So she might as well sold him for 20 million to Wolves and then gone and got the player that you wanted so that you can have the midfield stability, And a couple of little mistakes, and I'm not too that you can't defend at this moment in time. So I do feel now. I think that the Willian one is a real difficult. I don't. If you buy some, well, you don't buy him, but you've got him on a 3-year contract. You can't just, on all the money you've got, all of a sudden after 8 games, bin him. You know what I mean? It's bad enough binning your highest paid player. You're also binning every week your most expensive player. So then to bring out one of you and bin him, I think he's a bit. So he's got. I think that he's going to have to go right. You're coming into the middle, Willian. You're going to go out to the wide, Pepe. And go for it, and I think that there has been, fella there's Greg's, I can't argue with that, what he's saying,
Mistakes. Number 1, selling Martinez. Number 2, buying Willian on a 3-year contract. Why? 3, buying Cedric on a 4-year contract. Why? Spending 72 million on Pepe, surely 25 to 30 million at best. I think, all right, selling Martinez, we know that Martinez wanted to stay, but only if he was number 1. There was only going to be one number 1 out of the 2. They had to, they got money for him that probably went towards getting Partey. Yeah. So I'm not against that. I mean, if Martinez would have stayed, I remember saying right from the beginning, you don't lose a shirt, and if you're performing that well. Number 2, buying Willian on a 3-year contract. I agree. Why? You know what I mean? If getting, we didn't buy him. If he'd have come in on a free for a year or so, I would have understood. The 3-year thing I don't get. I only can think there must be because they think there's going to be some value to sell him on eventually. But Willian certainly has been very, very disappointing since he's come in. Buying Cedric on a 4-year contract, even bringing in Cedric in a free, I was like baffled. Yeah, we didn't need another right back. We've got Ainsley, we've got Bellerin. Why do we need Cedric? I just didn't. To this day, I do not get that sign-in at all. I just do not get it. It's not even like he's. Sometimes you buy like a player that's a right back, but they can also play wing. Yeah, you can't. I just don't get that at all. And spending 72 million on Pepe, listen, that was the going rate at the time. He'd been doing brilliantly over there. You know what I mean? Nobody moaned about the amount at the time. People have been moaning and saying, oh, why are we never in for them type of players that go for a lot of money? Sometimes you buy these players and they don't work out. Ask Man United, they bought loads of them. Ask Man City, ask everybody, ask Tottenham within Ndombele and that, or sometimes they take 8, but it's just that's the rate. If you want to buy quality, you're going to have to spend that type of money. So I'm not even moaning about that one. But when you've got a player like Pepe, who this season for me, in patches has done well. He's showed in a couple of Europa League games that he can do something. He scores goals. He creates. We're not scoring goals. We're not creating and we're not playing him. That's what baffles me. I don't understand that.
Yeah, no, I get the Pepe. Look, let's go back to the Willian one first. You know what I mean? Like everybody was going mad about it when we got Willian. All right, he's on a 3-year deal. Yeah, but if it doesn't work out, we could actually sell him next year or let him go. You know what I mean? So that could well easily happen, and just say, look, it's not worked out, and he may do what Mkhitaryan's done and depart and whatever. I don't think that's a bad thing. So that on that one there, the Cedric one, no one can explain to me about that because he doesn't play. The Pepe one worries me because he's not Mikel Arteta's signing. That's one thing that worries me. So I don't know if he rates him or whatever. I was very, as I said to you the other week, he played against Dundalk, played for 60 minutes. He was playing really, really well. He got took off, and everybody was going in the studio, oh, he's going to be playing Sunday. Doesn't play Sunday. Doesn't play Sunday. So that looks it to me. I'm thinking to myself, is Mikel Arteta going, oh, I don't want him to get a hat-trick here because he's going to put pressure on me or whatever. I don't know. But if you've got a player that's £72 million, what we paid for him, you've got to make it try and work. You've got to try and make it work. You've got to give him the chances, more chances than possibly anybody else. But it's also stopped the development of Nelson by bringing in Willian. So I don't understand what's going on there. For me, I don't understand, you know. There's a little bit of stubbornness, I've got to say, with the Aubameyang thing at this moment in time. People keep saying, oh, well, he scores goals on the left, which he does. But if no one's firing at all that on the front three, you've got to be looking at that situation. You know, he's not doing the business. So you've got to be looking at that situation. And I also think that, you know, you're putting a lot of pressure on a young kid in Saka. I think that also another big worry for me is that Martinelli was outstanding for the 3 games that Aubameyang was left when he was suspended. As soon as Aubameyang come back, Martinelli was left out the side. And then subsequently he got injured. We haven't seen him since.
Remember as well, before he got injured, he weren't getting played either.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't remember which game it was, but I remember there's one game where we were up against it and we was all thinking, oh, he's going to bring on Martinelli now. We need Martinelli on. And he brought on...
he didn't bring him on.
Rates Nketiah above... And everyone...
That's a worry for me. That is a worry for me. And so you've got these little things happening. You know, someone like Martinelli come in and played exceptionally well for 3 games. We didn't really miss Aubameyang in those 3 games. And then, you know, yes, quite rightly, Aubameyang comes back in the side. We're not saying that. But then, you know, Martinelli was left out. We've seen that happen with the goalkeeper. We've seen it happen with Martinelli. I start to get a little bit of a worry. And I see this with Pepe. You know, let him play. Let him play.
Yeah, and, you know, Pepe's been moaning.
Yeah, rightly so.
Me, myself, and I says reason why we got a 32-year-old history from Chelsea is Willian. Luiz and Edu have the same agent, and God knows how many other players have the same agent. Arteta just realised this thing deep-rooted. He and the board need to step up, I think he's saying there. Those, as I said, the Willian one's baffling, but the Cedric one's even more baffling. Like you said, he's not even playing.
No, he come in, I think, for a Europa League game. Then he's out of a Europa League game. And you've got Maitland-Niles sitting there doing nothing. You know, this is Maitland-Niles, by the way, in the cup final. That kept the Chelsea wide player quiet. He kept Sterling quiet. He's kept Salah quiet. You know, all of a sudden he's not getting a chance to play it, like, you know. And I just think that, you know, when you've got top class players in the side, let them play. You know, don't wait like the back four. For me, I would go with, say to him now, like, you know, Bellerin. I think, listen, Bellerin gets a lot of stick for whatever reason. He gets a lot of stick. He hasn't been that bad this season. I'm going to have to say that. But, you know, why buy Cedric if you're convinced that Bellerin's your man? Why go and buy Cedric when you've got Maitland-Niles that can back it up? I don't get it.
I think I read this something before. Jose is rehabilitating Spurs mentality, and it's still great. We did that one already, didn't we? What's our excuse? Our excuse is that we're not creating enough, and we're not when it does get up to those players. I mean, you got to feel it a little bit for the strikers as well, because when you create so little amount of chances,
puts pressure on.
Yeah, because if they don't take one of those,
they ain't going to get another one.
Remember, like, one thing is under Wenger, and this. Do you know what? Thinking about this, right, Lee, this is putting a lot of pressure on Arteta, because the one thing about Wenger, right, is that even though we were going through tough times, I think that style of football that we played got him a lot of credit, because people are like, you know what, we drew with such and such a home, but you know what, we absolutely battered them. They had to park the bus to get the win. You know what I mean? Or we go away from home and it'd be like, we'd lose a game, we'd be like, the defense was poor, but the attack was so good. But now at the moment, We can't say that, can we? Because
No.
we're not when you're not creating anything, the manager really does come under a lot of scrutiny. It's something you're going to have to get right very, very quickly. M. Rivera is saying, hypothetically speaking, things continue to go wrong. How long until the board kicks out Arteta? Oof. Listen, it's still early in the season. I mean,
listen, I'm sorry. You know, Mikel Arteta at this moment in time has got credit in the bank. He's got credit in the bank because he's got the FA Cup. He's beaten teams at the top. Give him time to sort it out. You know what I mean? I still don't think he has got the players in his players. You can go on to other teams. You know, look at Aston Villa this time. Aston Villa got 3, 4, 5 players. Tottenham got 4 or 5 players in this window. We get a couple. You know what I mean? And the reason we only got a couple is because we couldn't get the players out. So he hasn't got the players in that he wants. So we're restricted a little bit from that point of view. Listen, if he loses his next 3 games, yeah, he's going to be under immense pressure. You know, that's nothing new. That's how football is. This is a big club. If you ain't winning games, you are going to come under pressure. It doesn't matter whatever way you look at it. Then he's not going to get a free ride. You know, Emery never got a free ride, Robbie. You know what I mean? I think that he was out by well, before Christmas it was anyway, wasn't it? Because Lundberg come in, he'd got us to a champion to Europa League final, one game away from getting us to the Champions League.
Yeah, although I did think he got quite a lot. They did give him a lot of time, in my opinion, right? DJ says another weird signing is Pablo Mari for a combined 50 million. Basically, he hasn't played a game, and I think he'd only be back up to Gabriel. Well, again, I think with that one, you can't really pass judgment on it because he's been injured for so long.
No, listen, I think he's been a big blow for us because I thought he'd done okay. You know what I mean?
He looked right the first couple of games he came in.
A bad bunch, if I'll be honest. He's a bad bunch.
I was saying this on a show the other night. I was listening to that Phil Vickeries, the South American football expert, and he was saying that, listen, when he was in Brazil, he was brilliant. Yeah, he was the main reason why Flamengo, or one of the big reasons why Flamengo won the league and won the South American version of the Champions League, was because of Mari. And he was like, he's going to be a great player for Arsenal, but he's been literally injured, bad injury. He's been out for a long time. Martinelli's been out. I mean, I hear Liverpool fans all crying at the moment about the injuries, and I get it. But we've been going through that for years. Like, you know,
100%. I don't feel sorry for Liverpool. You know what I mean? They're dealing with what we've been dealing for the last 10 years. You know what I mean? Like you know, Mari was doing well. Listen, I would put Mari in alongside Gabriel. People say, it's 2 left-footed players. Not a problem. You know, Tony Adams and Martin Keown were both right-footed. It can work. If they're good defenders, it can work. You know what I mean? So I think that would be how to go. And obviously, he's not going to play Saliba. But again, his hands have been tied because the centre half that he trusts, along with Gabriel, has been injured. You know, and I think you'll see definitely a bit more cautious from Liverpool because of it. You know, when they had their defenders, Klopp could trust his defenders and let his other players play. I bet he's a little bit more cautious now. I just feel that we've got to be a little bit. You know, how long is he going to be out for? And all Mari, like, you know what I mean? Like, he got injured against Man City. That was the first game back from lockdown. Still not been about, and he tried to carry on that day as well. So, you know, it must have been a horrendous injury. What's gone on? What's gone on?
Skullfuggery says, "Bun the return of Ozil. Happy to see the return of Don Robbie Don in Utabi." Oh, okay. He says, "This is one of my favorite." Here you go. It's a Utabi big off there. Utabi t-shirts. I mean, yeah, you can get those. Link in the description. Tomzin says, "Leeds away, lose. Wolves at home, draw. Tottenham away, lose. Burnley at home, draw. Southampton, lose. Everton away, lose. Chelsea at home, lose. Brighton away, lose. West Brom." Who is this guy?
Well, you know,
chill out, man. I mean,
Christmas party, would you like? You know what I mean?
If that came true, there would be no Arteta by Christmas.
Nah.
It don't matter how much of a manager you're backing. This is a results business. If that came true, I don't think that's going to come true. We might look back on that Villa thing and say, glad that happened in a way. That's the thing. changed a lot of things. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that we learn from our mistakes that in that game, and we learn from what I thought was a very complacent performance and put it right.
I remember at Highbury going back. Now it might be the '98 team. Someone will have to change my mind. We lost 3-1 at home to Blackburn, and well, we was all going mad. Wenger ain't the answer and all that. Blah blah blah. From that game on, they never lost a game. It was in '98. I think they went on an unbeaten run. Obviously, things were said, things were changed. The people in the dressing room said, "Right, enough's enough. Let's sort it out." So. This might be a good moment. Aston Villa, by the way, it's not the first time they've caused an Arsenal meltdown. I can tell you, you know what I mean? Like, you remember that one time at home when a certain Chris Hudson came on, like, you know what I mean? So, Aston Villa have been a little bit of a side to us. I think, didn't they get a draw to us in the first game at the Emirates as well? They've done fairly well at the Emirates. So
even in a friendly when we came back after the lockdown, I mean that pretty comprehensively in that friendly as well.
Yeah, so they've been a little bit of a they've done a number on us a few times. So this could be a pivotal moment to change that. Hopefully it is. If it's not, then I think Arteta's under a lot of trouble. He's going to be in trouble, and then some people might get their way.
What people are you talking about there?
I don't know. I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a word.
Get yourself in no trouble, right? I've already seen trouble flying around today.
Listen, I'll say this now. If you don't think Mikel Arteta is the right man for Arsenal, then fair enough. That's an opinion. I'm not going to have a go at people if that's what they think. I think you're an Arsenal fan with an opinion. And if your opinion is different to mine, why be nasty to each other? I don't understand it. If you feel that Arteta's not the man, then that's fair enough. I'd never want to get into this situation with the Wenger in and out. Like it was an enjoyable play. So don't ever want to go back down that route again. So if you've got an opinion, you don't want him in there, fair enough. I've got no problem with it.
Okay, let me run through a few comments here. Rashard says Arteta is a dictator. The way Ozil, Saliba, Pepe, Nelson, Willock, Cedric, Socrates have been treated is inhumane. Still getting paid. Newman says Edu and Arteta have been playing Football Manager, buying players on a free just to sell them the following season. Maletta says the problem with our players is that they don't want to prove the coach wrong. Look at Van der Beek. He's showing his class even in the minutes he's been given. And meanwhile, what are Laka and Aubameyang doing? Well, what's Van der Beek? Ain't really done much either. He ain't had a lot of game time, to be fair. This guy, Cohen, says we've got Willian for a free and we still got Ross.
You got to take that. It's quite good.
That's a good one.
Well, it's made us laugh, that one, you know what I mean? It's not, so.
Mr. R says players like Lacazette are letting Arteta.
Not just Lacazette, you know what I mean?
Scapegoat at the moment, isn't he, Lacazette?
Yeah. Look, people going in on Lacazette. There's other players as well. i.e. our captain.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, Aubameyang's been worse than Lacazette. Yeah. I do, however, feel this was another funny one actually before I feed, but obviously aimed at me. Alejandro says, Robbie, don't worry. In 10 years' time, we will have Ziyech, Werner, and Kovacic on a free as well. That's brilliant.
Yeah, we probably will not, you know.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
We left Martinelli when he's prime, you know what I mean? And that's what we do. We'll swap Martinelli for Ziyech in 10 years' time, you know.
Yeah, so. This guy's saying it. Where was that comment? There was another one talking about this one. It was there. Martinelli, Aubameyang, and Pepe up front.
Yeah, I'd love that.
You know what? I'd like to see when he's fit. Martinelli, Aubameyang, Pepe. Saka behind them.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Why not try that? Saka can pick the ball up and he can drive with it, you know, but I want to see us try. I do want to see it. Listen, it takes time. I'm not dissing Arteta right now. It's too early to, it's way, way, way too early, right? I always say, remember Conte, when he came to Arsenal, we got a beat down. He changed his system. He went on to win the league that season. We didn't.
Yeah.
We beat them in that game, right? So it's way, way, way too early. It's a strange season as well. We've seen it already. We've got to have to be patient with the manager. We've got to give him time. We've got to give him time. I think fans calling for his head, in my opinion, they've got their opinion. And I respect it. I completely respect it. But in my opinion, fans calling for the head of Mikel Arteta, that's a bit ridiculous. It's too early to say that, you know? Aswa says, hi, Judge and Robbie. I think our fan base are just overreacting. Yes, it was a horrible loss, but Arteta is learning his trade still and admitted to the loss being his fault and will correct his faults.
Brilliant.
I agree. And as I said, it's way, way too early, in my opinion, to be talking about Arteta out and change the manager. Otherwise, it's going to be one of those clubs that every 3-4 months you get rid of a manager. You know, I think it was someone the other night who said that Ross Harton-Hootel, or his name is, I can never pronounce, at Southampton, they got beat 9-0.
Yeah.
They stuck with the guy. And it wasn't just a 9-0. He had a couple of defeats following that 9-0 as well. They stuck with him. And look, the other day they were top of the league going into the weekend.
And he would have after that 9-0 game changed things about, changed something, and it worked. You know, and that's where we are with Mikel now. He has to change things.
They also got spanked, remember, earlier on in the season by Spurs. Remember that second half?
Yeah.
Absolutely battered. But they've, you know, no one was saying get him out or nothing like that. Look where they are now in the league. It's too early to. I think it's way, way, way too early. You know, way, way, way too early. You know, this is not a sprint. You know, it's not a sprint. Netweed09 says Bellerin needs to go. Sorry. He's what? Incoachable. Uncoachable. We need a player like Hakimi. We're not going to get Hakimi because he only just joined Inter Milan for about 40 million. Bellerin is our player. He will be here till minimum the end of the season. And to be fair to Bellerin, he was very, very poor in that game against Villa. Up until then, I thought he was playing all right.
Yeah. He wasn't the only one, though, was he, that was poor that day, you know? So,
yeah.
I guarantee you now, Holding was absolutely awful that day. He'd be one to go, you know what I mean? But because it's an easy one for him to drop. I'll be interested to see what other players Mikel leaves out, because I think there should be another couple that should be left out, and it'd be interesting to see which ones will be.
Yeah, Lone Star Londoner says Ozil on £350,000 weekly, don't play. Saliba 27 million, not tried. Ainsley Mason-Niles plays for England, not Arsenal. Willian on a 3-year deal, 150k a week, plays wide, been awful. Martinez, better goalkeeper, sold. Why? There's a lot of these whys coming into the Saliba one. I spoke about it the other night. I find this Saliba situation embarrassing. It ain't like we went and bought a player for 5 million and we're saying, oh, you know what, he ain't quite ready yet. So 27 million pounds he costs. We sent him back. I know it was an interrupted season that he had. And then now I'm like, where else have got all this money from that we can be afford to be sending players out on these long loans and things like that? Honestly, that one is so baffling to me. It's unbelievable. And
the Saliba one, I've got a comment on this now. Like, so according to reports, he's lost his mum and dad.
I know that. Yeah.
You know, now we know what it's like to lose our dads, and we're like we're in our 50s and whatever. It was still tough. This is a kid of 19, 20 that's lost his mum and dad, and he's in a different country and all that. Like, you know what I mean? I think we've got to give a little bit of slack to this kid and just think that maybe he's going through a few things that are a little bit tough, and maybe like being over here in lockdown, not allowed to just be, because you have to be in this sort of bubble as well where you can't go and meet your family and friends outside of it and all that. I think at the end of the day, let's just give him the little bit of time that he needs. And if that means him going on loan in January to be near his family and whatever, friends and all that in France, then so be it. It's tragic what's happened there. So I feel that we've just got to, you know, leave that if he comes in and starts playing and he shows great mental strength, then great. But it's got to be one or the other, Robbie. Either plays him, and he goes through what he's going through, or we just say to him, look, a bit of compassionate leave for him. Like, you know, I think this. I do feel that with him.
All right, well said on that. Well said. Amit says, you can't say trust the process and then get annoyed when we have a blip. Says also, happy Diwali to all fellow Gooners. # free Saliba from the Arteta's basement. So he's not having any of what you just said.
It's a great point. You know, you have got to believe in the process, but you've also, you know, we're fans, so we're going to react on defeats and wins. We're going to go overboard when we win a game against Man United, and we're going to go overboard when we lose a game. Do you know why? Because we're fans.
I'm going to finish now, Lee. What I want to just ask before we finish here is, give me your team for the Leeds game and formation.
I'm going to go 4-3-3. I'm going to go with Bellerin. Oh no, I'm going to go with Maitland-Niles at right back. I'm going to go with Louise and Gabriel and Tierney at left back. 2 in midfield are going to go with Partey and Xhaka. Ceballos in front of them with Saka, Aubameyang and Pepe.
Good team. All right, listen, I'd like to see something like some sort of variation. You know, that sounds like a good team to me. Yeah, that sounds like a good team. Let us know what your team's going to be. Thanks for watching the show tonight. Don't forget Mask FC. The link is in the description if you want to get some of these masks. U2B t-shirts also in that link as well. So get involved in that. Lee, thanks very much. I know you're going to go back to watching the golf now, aren't you?
Yeah, watching the golf now, like, yeah. Suze,
how can you watch? That's so boring, man.
I don't like it. don't. I'm getting grief now. People are saying, like, no, like, don't say that, like, you know. I bet there's a few people watching. How can you say boring? You've just watched a 0-0 game between San Marino and Gibraltar.
I told you. I watched about 10 minutes of it, and I turned it off. But I think there's a game coming on now. It's Portugal-France.
Well,
yeah, there you go.
I might have a flick over and we'll just watch a little bit of that during the golf break then. Like, you know,
who's winning the golf then?
DJ Johnson at the moment, like, he's winning it. Well, he was an hour ago. So, but Rory McIlroy is doing really well. He's coming back. So,
Tiger Woods, what's he up to?
Tiger, he was about 5 under. A little bit hit and miss as he is. Like, his old little back might be playing up a little bit, but he's still in with a shout. Sounds
like Mesut Ozil. Lee, thank you very much.
He's in the bunker. You know what I mean? So,
thank you very much, mate. I really, really appreciate you coming on tonight. No
problems.
Catch up again next week before ahead of that Leeds game.
Yeah, I'll see you next week at Leeds.
Thank you very much. Well, not at Leeds. Thank you very much to the lead judges, and thank you very much to you guys. Don't forget, we'll be back in the morning with another news daily, so make sure you check that out. And listen, have yourself a great rest of the evening. Thank you very much.